Hello, my name is Bruce Ferguson, and I'd like to take some time to talk to you about Malala Yousafzai. She's a remarkable young lady who has become a world-renowned education advocate. But to better understand Malala as she is known, you need to understand where she comes from. Malala was born in the Swat Valley in Pakistan on July 12, 1997. Pakistan is a relatively young country that was established in 1947. It shares a border with Afghanistan, Iran, and India, who it has been at war with off and on since becoming a country. They currently enjoy an uneasy peace that is best described as a nuclear standoff. Pakistan is a country of roughly 235 million people and is still considered a developing country by many. However, it is also considered a nuclear power as well, having tested its own nuclear device. Its population is 95 to 97% Islamic and is considered a patriarchal society. To put it simply, male rule. Men have power over women in every aspect of life there. Men are the head of all societal structures, such as the family, business, and politics. Pakistan has had a tumultuous, brief political history where it has wavered from military rule to democratic rule. Additionally, there are many tribal battles that wage on to this day. Another example of this instability is the assassination of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. Within Pakistan is the Swat Valley in the northern provinces, and it is considered one of the most beautiful places on earth, as you can see from the picture here. But in the 1990s, the region was under siege by the TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, a political terrorist group that sought to return Pakistan to strict Islamic Sharia law. Sharia law limits women's rights and places strict control on where women can go, what clothes she must wear, even the cell phones that they're allowed to use. They also severely restrict the level of education that a woman is allowed to have. You heard that right, allowed to have. They also ban girls from dancing and watching television. At one point, while the Swat Valley was under the TTP rule, those in the valley were forced to gather near the river to burn all of the televisions as rejection of Western culture. This is where Malala's story begins. While growing up in the Swat Valley, Malala's father taught at a girls' school, where she also attended. Malala's father was also a staunch advocate for education rights, especially for girls. During this time, there was a lot of fighting between the government forces and the TTP. As a child, Malala became fearful that her country would fall into all-out war, and it eventually did. Eventually, the TTP seized control of much of Pakistan and began to establish Sharia law. Knowing what the TTP stood for and how this would affect women, particularly educationally, she began to blog about it on an internet board sponsored by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company. In one of her blogs that I refer to as the I'm Afraid post, Malala laments about war coming to her beautiful Swat Valley and what Sharia law would mean to her and millions of other women. An excerpt from that blog reads, I was afraid going to school because the Taliban had issued an edict banning all girls from attending schools. Only 11 students attended the class out of 27. The number decreased because of the Taliban's edict. In 2008 alone, the TTP had destroyed more than 150 schools, and estimates are as high as 400. Malala and her father continued to speak out against the TTP and for the educational rights of women. She appeared on Pakistani television with her father and stated, "How dare the Taliban take away my basic right to an education?" This public display of defiance enraged the TTP, that someone would speak out against them, especially a female. But Malala continued a very public crusade, and even after being forced to move out of the Swat Valley for her safety, she and a few other brave girls also continued to attend school, despite the threats of reprisals from the TTP. Angered, an order was given to kill Malala by the leader of the TTP, Mullah Fazlullah, pictured here. And on October 9th, 2012, Inshullah Inshan, the former Pakistan Taliban spokesman, attempted to carry out the order himself. One account of the event states that while riding home on a school bus after taking an exam, Inshan boarded the school bus and demanded, "Who is this Malala?" Inshan then proceeded to shoot Malala and two other girls. Malala was hit in the head by a bullet, but survived and was eventually airlifted to the UK for medical treatment. After several weeks of treatment that included 6 surgeries, Malala eventually recovered. Her family, which include 2 younger brothers, also relocated to the UK to escape the threat from the TTP. Malala then returned to school in Birmingham. In 2013, at 16 years old and on her birthday, Malala was invited to speak at the United Nations. She received a standing ovation when she was introduced. During her speech, she continued to speak out for education rights, not just for women, but for all children. She stated in part, "Dear sisters and brothers, I am not against anyone. Neither am I here to speak in terms of personal revenge against the Taliban or any other terrorist group. I am here to speak up for the right of education of every child." She also stated that, "I do not even hate the Taliban who shot me. Even if there is a gun in my hand and he stands in front of me, I would not shoot him." Truly remarkable. A year later, she published her first book, "I Am Malala, the Girl Who Stood Up for Education and Was Shot by the Taliban." She also began to grow in fame and popularity, and in 2013 received an award for her work, the Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought. Malala and her father went on to create the Malala Fund, which is located at malala.org, an advocacy group that champions the rights of all children to receive an education. She has supported education rights for not only Paki students, but also Syrian and Kenyan girls. She's also spoken against Boko Haram, an Islamic terrorist group in Africa that operates much like the TTP. Boko Haram at the time had kidnapped a large group of Nigerian schoolgirls. As her story became the headline of newspapers and broadcasts, so did her fame. Her powerful speeches have moved audiences worldwide, and her work for the education rights of children have garnered her many awards, to include becoming the youngest person, and only Paki, her words, to receive the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize. In her lecture, as they call it, Malala went on to state that this award is not just for me. It's for those forgotten children who want an education. It is for those frightened children who want peace. It is for those voiceless children who want change. I'm here to stand up for their rights, to raise their voice. It's not time to pity them. It's time to take action, so it becomes the last time that we see a child deprived of an education. A truly remarkable woman who has shown courage, determination, selfless grace. She has gone on to graduate from Oxford University with a degree in philosophy, politics, and economics. Also, at 24, Malala married Asir Malik, a manager for the Pakistan Cricket Board. Malala continues to be an education advocate, not only in Pakistan, but around the world. As for Mullah Fazullah, the TTP leader who ordered her death, well, he was killed in the US drone strike in 2018. Among his dubious distinctions, he was also the mastermind behind the Peshawar in Pakistan school massacre, in which 132 school children were killed in December of 2014. And Salah Eshan, the person who shot Malala, the TTP left the TTP and has been associated with several other terrorist organizations, and is believed to still be on the run in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Ironically enough, it's believed that his disagreement with Fazullah's order to attack the Peshawar school led him to leaving the TTP. Thank you.